Okay, good morning officially. 20, what are we? Wrong page. 24, Tammuz, right? 24. Okay, short but pungent little hayom yom. For a panimi to ask for a blessing for success in avoda. A couple words here. What's a panimi? Anyone, you know what the word panimi means? Anybody? We don't have a very vocal crowd here.
I don't.
Oh, you know. Well, that's vocal. That's honest. That's frank. Panimi means inner directed. Panemius is inside. It's the opposite of Hatsonius, which is outside. Now, a person who's called a panimi is someone whose whole being is directed toward really sincere, deep, inward practice, in this case of serving Hashem, learning, does everything the panemius. In other words, not just superficial, but deep, which is a very, very, deep level. It's a very advanced level of panemi. Now, so he's going to turn this now for a person like this to ask Hashem for a blessing for success in avoda, in one's work. He's going to tell us this is not the appropriate behavior for one who's really a panimi, who really gets it, who's really digging into it and living with it, to turn to Hashem and ask for a bracha. God, help me in my service. Now, be careful with this. Of course, we always pray to Hashem for help, right? But a panimi, one who is working hard on himself, etc., or herself. So when that panimi just as Hashem, please help me in my service of Hashem, this epitomizes a pasuk that he quotes, sort of a variation. The note says on a pasuk in Shmos, let them not pay attention to vain words. In other words, there's a certain amount, vain, what's the word in Hebrew? Divrei hevel. It doesn't mean vanity. It means empty, like an empty breath. Because what's needed, we're going now here, is the panimi. If you're really a panimi, you have to work harder on yourself, to take things in panimius. And he varies on a pasuk in Shmos, in Exodus, where you remember that we were enslaved, we were making bricks, and Hashem the Paro got mad with us, and he took away the straw, and he made the avoda heavy on the people. Okay, which is a negative. But here he's saying, listen, if you're really sincere about serving Hashem, you have to realize, that it's up to you. You've got to dig down deeper, find a deeper way of connecting with him, and then the blessings will come. It's not just a matter of praying for blessings, which we do. It's mainly in saying here, if you're really sincere about it, look into yourself and find and listen and find and pay attention to what more you can do. Because the arousal from below is what affects the arousal from above. That's today's idea.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That seems like the clear interpretation of this, but the thing that confuses me is that a panini is a singular. It's addressing singular, and people is plural.
And panimi is talking about a panimi, right?
That's singular. Yeah. And then
because he's playing on the pasuk. The pasuk says is plural, but he's using that. Let the people, yes, and he quoted you right. That's a plural, but he's talking. The people includes, of course, all of us. So each of us, let each of the people do this avoda.
Okay.
Because these are not his words. He's quoting the pasuk. Let them not pay attention to vain words, and he uses that to say, the people and each individual person should not just rely on the breath of the mouth, but on the service of the heart, and deepen your service. It's a good question. Okay, page, what are we doing today? We're doing lessons in Tanya, page, 24 of Tammuz, the bottom of page 1087. And today we're going to do today and tomorrow. Usually we do on Friday and Shabbos. Today we're going to do Thursday and Friday because first of all, today is short and tomorrow is fairly long. And then Shabbos is a normal piece, so we could just do Friday, the Shabbos piece. Got that? You will get that. Lessons in, okay, Lamkuti Amorim, page Tzadik Ches. Yeah, we're on Tzadik Ches. We're now turning to tshuva ba'ava, tshuva which comes from love. So just short recapitulation. The lower level of tshuva is tshuva me'yira. It comes from fear, the fear of being separated, and the realization that in doing things which are prohibited or not doing things which one should do, the positiveness is one is, as it were, a muscle that the Rabbi used, breaking the strand of rope, severing the connection, making a nick in the knife. And that means that the life force of Kedusha is not hitting you directly, and therefore you're not getting the quality of healthy shpor that you need, and a person doesn't want that, doesn't want to be ill. That's called yira. Things I don't want. I don't want to be cut off. That's why it's connected with avoid the teshuva hachato is connected with yira, and that's one piece, and that's the first path. And the first path in healing that is to ask Hashem for mercy, right? Cry out for mercy on the part of your soul which you have caused to descend, not to descend, but to experience its being cut off from that flow and not being alive in the way that you could be and should be. Have mercy on that, and have mercy on the part of Hashem, the Shekhinah, which, what we do down here goes on up above, what you're schlepping into Gullus. And that the Alter Rebbe called that, it's actually from Zohar, I believe, but from some of the earlier texts, Shekhinah begaluta, the God divine presence in Gullus. And then go on from asking Hashem for mercy, to have mercy on you and to help. Now do the avoider yourself of subjugating the clippers, of transforming your behavior. Make good decisions, make two columns, what was good about today, what was not so great about today, and focus on rectifying what wasn't so good today in order to rebuild, so to speak, the connection. And that's, in a nutshell, Yirat Tato, the lower level of fear of Shuva Tato, the lower level of Shuva. The higher level of Shuva, and that, why is it called lower? Because it's connected with restoring the lower hay, back to the fundamental, Teshuva. Tashuv, hay, that's the word, Tashuv, hay. Restoring, returning the hay. And there are two hays. This is the lower hay. Now we're moving into returning the upper hay. If the lower hay is connected with Malchus, which it is, the higher hay is connected with Bina, understanding. Yud is Chochmah, hay is Bina. So let's start. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines up from the bottom. So since you've done these two things, which we spoke about, arousing mercy on the sparks which have been schlepped away, and working on subjugating the clippers, or transforming even the clippers. So, so since the negative, the wind of forgiveness has now passed over you, this is like another mashal that was used, that when you do things you shouldn't, or don't do things you should, it's like putting a cloud, a curtain in front of the sun, all right, that blocks the flow into the window. Or like, now what happens if a wind comes up and just blows away the curtain, right? Or putting a cloud in front of the sun, cloudy day, and the wind comes up and it blows away the cloud. So now that the cloud is being blown away, the winds of forgiveness, so to speak, and the purification has started, Azai, then, Tuchel nafsham lo shuva Hashem, then a person is able to return to Hashem. Baruch Hu, may he be blessed. Mamish. and not to just to reconnect, but to lift up with one's soul higher and higher and higher to the place from which it was sourced, and to cling and to cling to Hashem, may He be blessed, beyichud niflo, with a wondrous unity. The intimate relationship with Hashem can be reestablished. That intimate relationship, establishing that sense of intimacy, the Yud K, the Yud and the Hey together. As things were united and together, as things were together in the complete unity, before Hashem blew with the, so to speak, quotes, with the breath of His mouth, to bring this soul down here below, and enclose the soul in the body. So the relationship of unity and connectivity to Hashem, as it was before the soul came down into the body, can be reestablished. Like a person, he says, a mashal, as a person who blows with the breath of his mouth, before that breath comes out of the person's mouth, that breath is stored and sourced in some much deeper place, which is meyuchad benafsho, which is united with his own soul. So before the breath comes out, where opportunity is for putting something in front of the breath which blocks the flow, that's v'sholem, there's a deeper level before the breath becomes breath. And that level is the level of eternal connection to God, which can be reestablished, is the word we're saying, but important to understand. It's never been broken. It's just that that one's experience of the connectivity that exists all the time has been cut off because of if one's behaviors, as we spoke about earlier, in terms of cutting a strand or nicking the knife, etc. So restoring, in the sense of restoring to one's sense the awareness of the deep connection, the eternal connection, the always connection that the soul has to Hashem before, or in this case, meaning even deeper than the level when it was blown out of Hashem's mouth, so to speak. The second line, Zuhi teshuva shlema. This is a complete tshuva, complete return. Returning to the place where I was before I came down. And experiencing that down here. This unity, the teshuva zu, and this return, this is what we call the higher level of shuva. Which comes after the lower level of shuva. As is written in the Holy Zohar, in the portion called Raya Mehemna, Parshas Nasai, which explains that the Shuva Elah, the higher level of Shuva, Zohar calls that one occupies oneself in Torah with fear or awe and love of the Holy One, the Ihu Ben Yudke, that you now are literally a child of the Yudke. The Yud is Chochmah and the Hey is Bina. In other words, that one's midos, that's the offspring, a child, are a function of one's deep conscious connection. And I'm not talking here about intellectual. I'm talking here, about understanding that contains the sense of godliness, the sense of reality, the sense of truth that exists all the time and exists at levels that are sourced much deeper than before, so to speak, than more superficially when God blew the things into creation. So these midos now, the children, are connected with the Yud-Keh, Chochmah and Bina. Then he says in parentheses, Umailas Baleshuva al Tzadikim Gamurim B'Zeh. And the advantage of Baleshuva, those who are returning, over the ones who are wholly righteous, who never sinned in their lives and don't have this gift of returning. He is, as is written in Zohar, Parshas Chai Sarah, the inun mashke ilo b'reusa deliba. The Baal Shuva, and this is very, it says that the Chazal said that in a place where a Baal Shuva stands, even a whole tzaddik, a holy righteous person can't stand. Why? Because of the distance that a Baal Shuva has been, the yearning is much stronger, and that's expressed by this. They draw him closer with the will of the heart, with the heart of the Baal Shuva is much more inflamed with desire because of the separation. You know, coming back from a place of despair, God forbid, or from coming out of darkness. The more the darkness, the more one craves the light. So the craving for Hashem can't be compared, the craving of the Baal Shuva, to the state of the tzaddik who has never been away. So they draw him closer with much greater, strong bands of love. Yativ, ubechilis sagai, with much greater power of love. The skorva de malka, to come close to the king. That's all a line from the Zohar. The Zohar says that when the Baal Shuva is drawn closer to Hashem with a much stronger love than the tzaddik. Now we're going to explain this. And this is tomorrow's Tanya. Ubir ha'inyan, the explanation of this tshuva ilah, and about the explanation of one's midos, one's attributes, right, from Hesed down to Yesod, those attributes, the Vov of Hashem's name, being drawn close to the Hey, which is empowered by the Yud K. So these are called midos shebaseichel, or midos shebamoichin, midos as they originate from one's brain, from one's conscious awareness of Hashem. Okay, the Kodesh is explained in the Zohar in many places. The Bina, so let's look at Bina. Chokmah ul Bin, right? Bina is the second mind function. Bina ihu teshuva ilah. Bina, the Zohar says, is the upper level of shuva. Now, Bina, Chokhmah is on the right side, and Chokhmah is mashpia, flows into Bina. So the one that flows into is the masculine, and the one that receives is the woman. Bina is feminine. Both of the Hays are feminine, and they're indicated their femininity by that openness, the channel which something can enter into that little opening on the left side of the Hay. Bina is Hay above, and Malchus is Hay below, is woman below. So Bina is called the mother, and Malchus is called the daughter. So the mother. So we have the pasuk in Bamidbar about a mother bird sitting on the eggs of that have not hatched yet, and the pasuk is the mother crouches over the chicks. So the chicks are the offspring. The offspring of Bina is the midos, the 6 midos. But now we're talking about the 6 midos not as they are raw animal midos, right? Animals have midos also. I mean, they're naturally feeling for their young, and we have the natural midos as well, right? They're naturally drawn to comfort, to make a home, etc. These are very fundamental, but they're low on the totem pole, but meaning very fundamental, not needing to be informed by intellect. So, but then there are midos shebamoichin, the attributes which are informed by intellect or seichel or brain. And they're all different meanings. Seichel in the intellect. Brain, I like to, and the way I understand it, is the wholeness of consciousness. Often. Seichel is the intellectual aspect of that. So the mother is now connected with the midos. This is the mother crouching over the chicks. And if you remember, this is a shiluach hakam. It's a mitzvah that if a person wants the eggs in the nest, for eating, you can't do it when the mother's there. They have to have the mother go away, and it's just a kind of merciful thing not to take the eggs while the mother is there. So, when the mother is there, that's called the mother's crouching over the chicks. So the mother is Bina. Bina is his boininess, same word, right? Contemplation. This is the contemplative mind. So when one contemplates the greatness of Hashem, the Omkesedas, through deep understanding, deep integration of that into your being, that you've integrated from your understanding into your heart, the greatness of Hashem. And there is born from that spirit of understanding, midos, love and fear, love and awe, which are connected with the intellect. And your attributes, your feeling for Hashem is something that has been cultivated through reason, tuv tam v'das. As it said, mishum ki hu chayecha, that you should love Hashem because He is your life force. In other words, there's a because. I've thought about this, and because of that, I love Hashem. Now, there's a disadvantage of this also, right? The love that comes with the deeper than contemplation. But here we're speaking about the love that comes through contemplation, through full awareness and union of the faculty of mind with the faculty of the heart. And this is emblemized by the pasuk, to love Hashem l'kecha mishum, because He is my life force. And without that, I have no life force. And therefore, it's silly of me to do anything which is going to disconnect me from that, from God and godliness, because if I'm doing that, then I'm kind of disconnecting myself from my own life force. It's rather, quote, suicidal to do something like that. And therefore, I would never even think of doing something like that. And now my heart is, now I'm getting excited. My heart is excited because I know, I'll be reason, I'll be seichel, I'll be bina, that He is my life. And this kind of love is called love which is seichelic, intellectual, moichin, it's a love which is connected with brain. It's not just the natural midos, amisoteros levad, which are concealed in the heart alone. That's about love. The chen b'yira is also on the other side of yira, fear or awe of Hashem, yira v'pachad. Oy boisha, or feeling shame. Well, shame here means humility. I can think about this, right? Think about this. Think about the vastness and the infinity of creation, and I'm one little dot in the wholeness of it, and yet Hashem has trusted me, this little dot, to be the agent of bringing Geula. He's given me this little dot. That should make me feel, and even as I'm saying it, it does make me feel a little humble. As is known. So these are midos that are coming from and connected with understanding, with bina. So that's the upper head, bina. Then that's when the mother, Bina, is sitting on top of the chicks. There's a close relationship between the midos and Bina. The main root of ava, of love, he is dafkus rucha berucha. Love is when you feel a closeness, spirit to spirit, and ultimately breath to breath, the relationship of kissing, breath to breath, as it says in Shir Hashir, Yishkini Misham Shifas Pico. He kisses me with the kisses of his mouth. So this is an intimate relationship with Hashem. This is Shuva Elah, a higher level of Shuva, as is known. And on this it says, this is loving Hashem, not just with your whole heart, but with your whole nefesh, right? The haftas Hashem lekecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha. Shehem hem kol chelki hanefesh, meaning with all the entirety of your soul is your love for Hashem. Seichel u'midas, your intellect and your midas, and their levushim, their garments, the garments called the garments of the soul, which are thought, speech, and action, all of that is aligned with, and not just aligned, but dovke, clinging, kulam, all of them are clinging into God, Yisborah may be blessed. The Hainu HaMidas, the Midaisov, our midos are entwined with and clinging to His midos, as it says, the Chazal says, our sages say, Mahu Racham, just as he is merciful, so we should be merciful. Just as he is kind, so we should be kind. We are in union and in lockstep with Hashem. And our mind also is in lockstep with his seichel, our intellect with his intellect, and his blessed wisdom. And how do you get in lockstep with Hashem's seichel, with his mindfulness, and his reasoning and his chokhmah? This is through Iyun HaTorah. Where do you find Hashem's chokhmah? In the Torah. So by concentration in the Torah, as it says in the Zohar, the Torah comes out from God's wisdom, and it's a container of God's wisdom. So midos shebamidos, love to heart to heart, is when he is kind, we should be kind. Head to head, which is the deeper level, right? Higher, deeper level. Head to head is the Torah, and the occupation in the Torah. And likewise, making your thoughts his thoughts, or his thoughts your thoughts. And your speech is what God speaks. And what does God speak? God speaks the halacha. He said, this is what I want. And you align yourself with what he wants. Moshe Kosev, as is written, Ba'asim devore b'ficha. He says, I will put my words in your mouth. This is God speaking. I will put my words, God, in your mouth. And these are the words which I put in your mouth. In other words, the words of Torah, the words of halacha. So we've covered God's thought. That's the intellect of the chokhmah of Torah. We've talked about God's speech, which is halacha. This is what I want. And then the ma'aseh, that God's deed, which is ma'aseh hatzedakah, the overarching deed of the mitzvahs. We've had this before in Tanya, is tzedakah, giving of yourself to someone who is in need. To enliven the life, the spirit of those who are fallen. And where do we see that God does this? Remember saying we're allowing an intimate relationship with God, echoing each other, right? Where do we see that God does this tzedakah, this act of tzedakah? It says, 6 days he gives himself into that which is nothing without him. In other words, the poorest of the poor, the creation. He brings the creation into being. He infuses the creation with life 6 days of the week. He gives of himself to that which of itself is nothing, the poor person, and that's his tzedakah. As is known in another place. And this is what we call, what the Zohar calls, clinging spirit to spirit or breath to breath. The tachlis of the vekas, with a complete clinging, the yichud and unity, which comes from love. For the fisha pagam habris. Now, since one may have blemished the covenant, and we're speaking now here of the avera that we've been using all the time, the emission of seed for no purpose, right? And how much more so, and we don't have to say other kinds of immoral behaviors, or shar isur bia, other forbidden conjugal relationships, the Raisa or the Rabbanim, from the Torah or the Rabbanim. Ki hamorim divrei seifrim, as it says in parenthetically, stricter are the words of the sages than the words of Torah, because the words of the sages create a fence around the Torah so that we don't fall into a pit. So when a person commits any of those, and this is on both sides, masculine and feminine, the seed, the notion of the seed, whether it's the zera of the man or it's the root of the egg which comes down to the ovarian tract, all of that is coming from and rooted in the moya, in the brain. So when a person takes those things and uses them in a blemished way, poigim b'moya, that's a blemish in the brain. Lachein tikinuhu, What's the tikkun? What's the fix for straightening out one's brain? To be occupied in the Torah, the mahokma nafka, which comes from God's chokmah. And this is and this is what's said the Tanya in the Midrash. If a person transgresses an avera, in his chayav misa, lamokim, for which he is obligated or she is obligated death from the hands of heaven. Ma'yasa, v'yichya, what should he do and live? So the answer is learn more. Connect yourself more with the Torah. If you're customary to learn one page, then learn 2 pages, beis dafid. If you're customary l'shanos perek achad, if your custom is to learn 1 perek, Rambam a day, yeshana beis perek, learn 2. This is the example of the multi-threaded rope. When you cut a string, suppose you cut a string and now you tie it back together. You tie it with a knot. Where it's tied, but it's double. So there's a strength. So it is with the inheritance, the rope, which is our inheritance. We can fix it by putting the strand back together, by redoubling our efforts at the source of the Torah, which is the moyach, by getting involved in the brain of the Torah, which is the Torah itself, learning. And this is what it says, the chesed ve'emes yechupa of him, that with kindness and with truth, forgive the iniquities are forgiven. And ein emes of a Torah, the Gemara Brucha says, truth, there's no truth except for Torah. The oven, Beis Eli, and the sin of Beis Eli, and this is a Maisa in the prophet Shmuel, B'zevach minchahu, it says that all the offerings that they brought, the slaughterings that they brought, Dina Miskapa doesn't atone for them. What does atone for them? Aval Miskapa, what does atone for them? The Torah Ugamilas Hasadim, learning and doing. The Yisra B'Soy Perek Kama de Rosh Hashanah, as is brought in the end of the first Perek of Rosh Hashanah. So, Shuva Ba'ahav. Shuva Ba'ava is to behave like a beloved. And the beloved will behave to you like a beloved. It's all about behavior. It's all about coming back in your brain, because of those great love, yearning that you have to restore the connection that existed primordially. It's Shuva Ba'ava. All right, I know it was long. One of the days had to be long, so I made it today instead of tomorrow. All right, how about a lot here? Any questions? Any comments?
I have a comment.
Please.
I like the when we do tshuva, we align ourselves with Hashem, and our mouths speak what His mouth speak, and our hearts are aligned, and that's tshuva, is to be kind of Hashem. It doesn't say, it's often translated mahurachum afatarachum. Well, He is merciful, you should be merciful, but it's not true. It doesn't say that. It says you are merciful.
You are merciful.
He's merciful.
Right. You mean He's merciful unconditionally. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is Chazal is telling us something, and we kind of tweaked it to mean something else that we think it means. But really, that's not what Chazal is saying. Chazal is saying, Mahu rachum af atarachum. He's merciful, and you are also merciful because you are an extension of Him. It's not saying you should be. Not saying you should be.
I hear what you're saying. Absolutely right. But the should is you should manifest that. You are that. You're absolutely right. We are built like that. Just as you are built, just as you are merciful, we are merciful. You're absolutely right. But the shuva is when we're in a state where we're not manifesting that. So manifest it. Manifest what you really are.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the should be.
And that's tshuva. Yeah, that's tshuva.
Yeah.
To return to who you really are and to
Absolutely.
kind of align and like opposite God and operate from those mitzvahs and then we're so powerful because Hashem is powerful and all the mitzvahs that Hashem has, we have. That's
Correct.
what I was thinking about midah keneged midah. We always learn in school, Hashem behaves in midah keneged midah.
Yeah. Somebody's interrupting you.
No, it's my stupid cars. Rosa. If you could move.
Sorry.
No.
So midah keneged midah, it means like the midos. What are the midos? The chesed, gevurah, tiferes, netzach, hod, yesod, malchus. So when Hashem operates midah keneged midah, it's because our chesed is aligned with His chesed, and everything that we do automatically operates midah keneged midah because
except that it isn't so automatic, right? I mean, we have to do something to bring out the reality that exists has to be brought to the fore. We're not creating a new. Yeah.
I mean, even if we do the wrong thing, automatically it elicits a midah keneged midah, because if we have on the dial a little too much chesed and a little too little gevura, or then the answering midah keneged midah is the same. Exactly
The face you show to the water is the face that you get back, because the connection is always there, and it's up to us what quality that connection will reveal itself as. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was thinking also that tikkun hamidos, the word tikkun is also used in halacha or somewhere in Torah to make a dish, to cook something, tikkun the food, right? To tikkun the food, to put ingredients in. Yes. So tikkun hamidos to me then sounds like, like you're born with a chaotic amount of midos, maybe too much chesed or whatever. And you just have to dial it back or dial it forward or whatever, like a recipe, until you got it right.
Nice. Edel, I'm not Edel. Raisa, go. Thank you.
Hello. So I saw somewhere here that when we say, I don't see it now, I have this siddur that has Hasidus ideas in it. When we say that Hashem should open our lips and our mouth should declare Hashem's praise, it's this same aligning. Because I never, like, what is this Hashem sefasai tiftach, Hashem should open my lips? I mean, I'm talking. I was speaking before Shmona Esrei, and I'm speaking now, but we're saying that we are asking Hashem that our speech should be aligned with Hashem's speech.
Yep.
And that when we say this very holy aspect of Shmona Esrei of the Amidah, it should be like the neshama in us, the spark of Hashem in us, should be what's saying these tefillos.
Yes. We put His words in our mouth. If He puts His words in our mouth, we should put our words in His mouth. And both of you are basically saying the same thing, which is important. This whole midah keneged midah, this that we're created in His image, right? Or one of the key things that, and this is just a little crystallization, I think, of what both of you are saying, that we Hashem tzilcha. Hashem is your shadow. So you pull Him and He pulls you. You can't ever get out because you are part and parcel of Him. But as a result of that, you can schlep Him one way or schlep Him the other way, and vice versa. Is that covered?
So it's just like you could take what you learned apart, like what you learned in Tanya today, and you could kind of connect it to these words that are an introduction to the Amidah.
Yes.
And it could help you understand why it is that you're saying Hashem should open my lips. Sfasai tiftach, open my lips. Right. It's because you want that your speech should have a dimension of elokus
Right.
And and also, I don't know, who's Torah Shmuel?
Torah Shmuel is the Rabbi Maharash.
So
Shmuel, he was the youngest son of the Tzemach.
Oh, okay. So he says that prayer refers to the process of connecting spiritual light to our material world, or in the personal world of each individual, connecting the body to the soul. For that process of connection to be achieved successfully, it must be preceded by Geula. And Geula is a revelation of Hashem's Ein Sof. So it just seems to be saying, to me, what it seems to be saying is that this is what we were saying today, that like in your actions, whether they are actions of chesed or actions of tshuva or actions of learning Torah, you're connecting them, your world or your life with the sublime, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Your aim to mirror HaKadosh Baruch Hu is much more than just we want to learn from the, like, kind of, we want to learn from the Rahmanas that we saw, or we want to learn from the Bikur Cholim that Hashem visited Abraham, that we should do it. It's much more than that. When we do it, there's a dveikus here, there's a connection.
Yeah. That's what Elisheva was saying also. It's,
yeah.
We are mirror images of each other, so to speak, God and us. And that's a weird thing to say. Because on the other hand, how little we are, how inconsequential from one's perspective we are, we're a little less than a dot in the of everything, yet we contain the everything. And that's the paradox, beautiful paradox that we live in. We contain God and God contains us. And we are. All right. Well, that's a fairly good behavior to live like that. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything to say at the moment?
That it's not so bad for you about teshuva.
Well, it's not so bad, right? Not on the contrary, it's a great thing. It says about Mashiach. Mashiach will bring the tzaddikim to teshuva. They'll put that in your pipe and smoke it. He'll bring tzaddikim. Should tzaddikim say, look, I mean, this is, the explanation is not as good as the line itself, that Mashiach will bring tzaddikim to teshuva, because there's an infinite pathway, right? This never ends. So no matter how close you are, there's always more close to be. But to have that energetic of yearning and wanting to get to the next level only comes from a sense of realization that this level that you're on is not it at all. And then you get to the next level, and it's not it at all. Mashiach will give the righteous who are sort of there the awareness that they're not there, and give them that sense that the Baal Tshuva knows that I'm not there. So the Baal Tshuva has, it's not so bad. It's in a sense much better. Be happy about being a Baal Tshuva for sure. I'm laughing because I'm a Baal Tshuva, right? I mean, I returned, and whether I'm a Baal Tshuva or not is something else, but I did return from nowhere. And I'm laughing because the sons of one of my friends said to me on the street, he said, your kid, and he named one of my kids, is doing a big disservice to his kids. I said, what are you talking about? He's making them think that they're from Spitz Chabad and they're not Baalei Shuva. They got to know that they're from Baalei Shuva, because Baalei Shuva have the koyach. With that, I'll leave you till tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.